Hey guys, Serum here, and today I am going to be testing the nanoFlowcell Quantino in multiplayer. Now, a few days ago, I tested its older brother, the Quant FE, so I figured I'd try this one. My rank is 1222, my tuning is 0505, and in Pro Kits, I have pro'd it out 5555. And of course, in the Elite tuning, I have the standard of 0808, or all on top speed and nitro. So I've reached the maximum speed that this car can reach at 130 lower rank than Max Pro. So this first race is on one of the China tracks against a Cobra, and I'm not sure what the other cars were. So this car starts up fairly quickly, faster than the Cobra actually, and even though I am running extra tank in all the races in this video, it's not really needed because this car's nitro efficiency is very good. So coming up here, the Cobra slowed down going up the ramp, and I'm not exactly sure why, but I started catching up to him around here, and then BAM! Knockdown. I'm not exactly sure how it happened, but that is really cool. So as I said earlier, this car's acceleration is very good, and if you look at the speed, it's going 241 or so miles per hour. Now you may be thinking, that's really fast for a D-Class car. Well, this car has fake speed of just below 96%. It is actually going only around 232. This is actually the second highest speed of any car in Class D, only behind the Mazda RX-8, which goes about 3 miles per hour faster. This car's drifting and handling are also very good, unlike the Quant FE. So as you can see here, I knocked that Cobra down at the beginning, and he has not been able to catch up yet. But we have a second lap. Let's see what happens here. I was able to make this car purple, unlike the Quant FE, so I'm not sure why one had the purple color and one didn't. Also, the Munich update, which I made a video about yesterday as of the recording of this, should be coming out today or tomorrow, at least according to the Gameloft people. Probably for iOS first, and then for Android, and then for Windows last. Windows always seems to get the updates later than the other two, for some reason. So, we are coming up on the end of the second lap, and that Cobra is still just as far behind, if not further behind, than he was before. Partially due to this car's much better drifting radius than the Cobra's. He was a 1285 Cobra. That's the 0503-5050 tuning and is very good. And I was able to beat him and an M2 that disconnected with a Quantino. Now for a race on Barcelona against another M2, which you cannot see right now, but it is in this race. So the Donkervoort starts up quicker than this car, but I have a much higher speed at this rank, since the Donkervoort's starting rank is way too high to be any good in multiplayer. It falls behind in the first 10 seconds, as you can see here. Someone once said the Donkervoort would be king on a 10-second track, which is probably true, but there are not any such things. So those two cars right behind me are the Donkervoort and the BMW M2, and the M2 is slowly passing him, and again, slowly catching up to me. I've found that this car, the Quantino, really is a lot like the BMW M2. It has the good drifting, it has the decent acceleration, it's elite just like the M2, and it can reach almost the same speed, not quite at this rank. But it's a good alternative if you do not have an M2 or Cobra and you would like to play multiplayer around this rank. As you can see, that M2 is not catching up to me as quickly as he would if I were in some other car. And he's really not catching up too much at all. But we have a second lap to go around, and let's see, will this be enough for the M2 to catch up? If this were a one-lap race, I would certainly have won, as you can see here, fair and square. Now, here he was catching up and almost managed to reach me, but I got to the turn first and he got slightly further behind. But because of the M2's slightly superior speed, he is able to continue gaining on me. But as you can see, he's not gaining all that fast. So coming up here, he was getting to the point where he was pretty much right on top of me, and there's nothing really I can do about it. So after holding the M2 off for a whole lap and a half, he finally manages to catch up to me, somehow does not knock down me, and passes me, going just slightly faster. Hopefully you can see from these first two races how good of an alternative this car is to the Cobra and the M2. While not being as fast, it can still do very well, and if you do manage to knock them down or whatever, you're pretty much going to win, because they're not that much faster. Because I knocked the Cobra down near the beginning of that race, and even on 2 laps, he was never able to catch up to me again, and just fell even further behind, I believe. So if you use this car in multiplayer, and the M2 for that matter, always pick twisty tracks, and the Cobra will have a lot harder time to beat you. So in this race, the M2 did manage to win, however, he was not that far ahead. Only about 1 second, so that's pretty good. 2 laps on Barcelona. And we beat the Donkervoort that was 80 above us. You can see how bad that car is. So now for another race against a BMW M2 and a Cigaris, this time on the Patagonia track. This car's really good acceleration gives it a big advantage against cars like the Cigaris because the Cigaris does not start up nearly as quickly. Riverfort is one of my favorite Patagonia maps, and that's what this is here. Just because it looks so cool and there are so many neat sections to it, like this big jump off here. And that M2 did not flat spin, and so he was able to go directly under me. But as you can see here, I'm about the same speed as him, and he is not pulling away very fast. It will be interesting to see which cars can excel on the Munich track, because while it does look like from the trailer that there are a lot of straight places, there are also a lot of curvy places, and places with trains and all that to avoid. So here he wrecked. I barely missed his carcass. Ha, get it? That was a bad joke. Where he wrecked is the one part of Patagonia that I really dislike a lot. It is that boulder sitting in the very middle of the track once you come out of the blue tunnel section, and I have wrecked there so many times by not being able to make it to the left or to the right quick enough, because if you're coming out, it can sometimes be hard to see where exactly you're aiming. So this M2 is catching up just slightly again, but this car's speed is enough to sustain it, and I managed to beat him. So let's see how much of a time difference there was. And it ends up being exactly 1 second, down to the millisecond. And there was that low-ranked TVR Cigaris getting beat by a DS Servolt. If you have the Cigaris, tune it higher than that, because down here it will not do you much good. So this San Diego Harbor race, I mainly put in the video because of a really weird occurrence that happens near the end. So that Donkervoort, again, speeds up really quickly, but I'm able to pass him in just about 6 seconds. There is an M14A in this race, which is the last of the F1 cars I have to get, and after this current cup ends, I will be just 4 away. So yeah, hopefully I'll make a video on that when I get it. So coming up here is the weird occurrence that I was talking about. Over to the left on the map, you'll see there's a green dot just sitting there. He was lying in wait for somebody to wreck into him when they go around that corner. But I went around the end and went this way, because I did not want to worry about him. It is often a better idea to go a longer way and not risk wrecking than to go a shorter way and have a big chance of wrecking, especially if there's someone blocking the path. Now, I could have gone closer to the inside, but I didn't want to risk it. In multiplayer, it is best not to take as many risks as you would in an event, say, just to get a slightly faster time, because you can restart an event. You can't restart a multiplayer race. Now for the final race, which is on Venice against 2 Range Rovers. So here, these cars tried to sandwich me, but I managed to knock them both down because of my better acceleration. So in this race, I would like to give my general consensus on this car. Here, as you can see, it drifts and handles fairly well. Micro drifting is very effective in this car. So, while it may not be quite as fast as a BMW M2 or a Cobra, if you drive better than them, you can beat them a lot of the time, as you were able to see earlier in this video. And, as I said, pick twisty tracks to get rid of the Cobras. The M2s are a little harder. If you knock them down at the beginning, they will not be able to catch up to you most likely. So that would be a good thing to do if there's an M2 ahead of you at the beginning of a race in this car. This car is worth it even if you do not want to multiplayer tune it. At a price of 975 tokens, you get a decent multiplayer car, and you get some tokens back in Mastery plus 20 licenses. It is also the second fastest Class D car. Now, if you save up as many tokens for this, I would recommend buying the RX-8, but if you really want this car for some reason, it will pretty much do the job on a lot of tracks, as this car can get faster lap times than the Donkervoort and the Buick Avista Concept, and pretty much any of the other high-end D-Class cars. So guys, thank you all for watching. Please like the video if you enjoyed and found the tips in it to be helpful, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt 8 content. And check out my video on the Munich update if you haven't seen that yet, because it is a really cool track. I will see you later. Goodbye.